Hello everyone, welcome back, Flight Sim Simon. So today I want to talk about virtual airlines. Now these are quite popular for some people, and then for other people they haven't got a clue what they are. So sort of want to cover that myth today of what are virtual airlines. Then I want to talk about my little bit of history of what I've had with them. And then third and finally, want to talk about UK Virtual, which is a virtual airline that I've decided to support and work with. So first of all, what is a virtual airline? Well, a virtual airline is a member-driven group which aims to simulate the flights and operations of an airline, basically. So, a charter operation or flying club, maybe some based in real-world companies, while others are fictional. So each VA is different in terms of how realistic they are in terms of different areas. For example, rank structure, other amounts of training required to fly different aircraft types, corporate management structures, and standard operating procedures. You can pretty much guarantee, though, that most VAs will have some sort of affiliation with VATSIM. That leads on really nicely for us to talk around some of the experiences I've had with VAs, because I've had a fair bit of experience. Some are really good, some aren't so good. I won't mention names today because that wouldn't be professional, but I could tell you why I didn't get on with some of these virtual airlines. But let's look at ranking structure. Certain virtual airlines, you'll start as a rookie and you'll do flights with them and you'll work your way up, typically through a second officer, first officer, captain, then senior captain, and you work your way through. And you do that through the hours that you fly and the time that you spend online. The amount of training required, some VAs will ask you to go through an exam before they allow you to join. Others aren't so strict around that. Then others have corporate management structures. Some of them are very much like boys' clubs, if I'm being very honest with you. And I felt that in one of them, and I'll talk about that experience as we go through. They all will have some form of standard operating procedures. Now, when we go back over some of these in even more detail, when we look at some of the training requirements, some VAs will make you start off in a Cessna until you've done a few flights, and then they might let you move up to a CRJ. That wasn't working for me. I'm a flight simmer of over 20 years experience, and I didn't want to do that. Some VAs will hold you back with, let's say, an A320. Um, you might want to fly a 747. So, and you might know more than those guys. So I don't like that approach. Um, one of the really good VAs is a well-known British airline. I won't say which one, but it's going to be pretty obvious. They're really good. Um, However, their routes are quite limited in terms of it's one airline. So you get to fly their routes and doing whatever they particularly say. Um, Nearly all VAs will have some form of ACAR system that track your performance, which is fine. Some VAs will let you only be away from the keyboard for say 30 minutes. Other VAs will let you be away for a couple of hours at a time, but need to check back in. Some VAs measure your performance on VATSIM, so others don't. So, talking about my experience, I've been with the big British one, and actually it was pretty good. I was just limited by the routes I could fly. And at the time, I was new on VATSIM, and most of the routes were at Heathrow. Now, if you've ever been on VATSIM outside of Heathrow, you know that's a challenge. So that didn't quite work for me, although I did get used to it. The routes I wanted to fly weren't always there, so it was a bit of a challenge. I've done a big orange one. I quite like that VA, but I didn't like some of the rules and regulations around it. Um, there's a blue one with a red tick. I won't say which one that is. Um, didn't have the greatest of experience in that particular one. Um, Very much a boys' club, and I found that they were very much into one simulator. Though they said they supported Microsoft Flight Simulator on the outside of the box, when you went to fly any of the routes, they wouldn't accept any of the flights because they weren't in a Boeing 737-800. Even though they wasted the time, and when you complained about it, it was very much a very strict boys' club. And that brings me on really to talk about UK Virtual, because I've joined this virtual airline. I've been here around a couple of months now, and actually I really, really like it. And so I thought I'd talk around it on our stream because you might not have heard of them. So I want to get into a little bit more detail around why I like them and why you should go with them if that's what you choose to do. So why did I choose UK Virtual? Well, it was recommended to me by a good friend of mine that's been part of this virtual airline for some time. He's also been part of some of the other ones I previously mentioned and came to me and saying this is a really good one. I quite like the fact that there's these league tables, and you'll probably see I'm doing pretty well at the moment on my flights and my hours as well. But actually, that motivates me. Might not motivate others, but that's absolutely fine. But what I really, really, really like about this virtual airline is the way the website's laid out and the way that you can choose your routes. So let's have a quick look. I mentioned before there's different virtual airlines out there. There's the British one, the orange one, the Irish one. There's a blue one with a red tick, but you're limited to their routes. Let me show you something why I joined this virtual airline. So when we click airlines, have a look inside here. Now look at all these airlines. You can fly any of these routes. The only rule is that you get your own ID, which you can use on VATSIM, and there's a 4-digit code. So you can either use the Union for, caller ID, or you can use Aer Lingus. Long as you use your 4-digit code, they're happy. But when we go through here, there's absolute hundreds of airlines. I want to do Stobart Air. I click on airline details. I can look at a route map and I can actually see where do these guys fly. Well, they go to Oslo. So I want to go to Oslo, Gardermoen from Newcastle. So I can do that flight. So simple, but that's just one airline. There's lots of airlines. So that's one reason why I really like them. Okay, so sometimes we like to do group flights as friends. So what we tend to do is we go to the tours. We can pick a tour, what we can do together. Now, sometimes we haven't got a clue where we want to fly. Now, at the moment, I can show you that we're doing the Irish Sea hopping tour. I click on view details. You go from Dublin to Donegal, Donegal to Glasgow, Glasgow to Donegal, Donegal to Dublin. And then you could just go through all of these. And when you get to the bottom, you get awarded points. Now you'll see at the bottom, we've done 4 out of 20. Me and the person we're flying with. So we've always got somewhere to fly. Some of the other benefits of this virtual airline is there are no really strict rules. They've got some rules which they should have to keep the branding right and to keep other things right as well. But the main thing I really love about this is, look, if I take off and I have a bit of a bummer of a landing and my landing rate's 550, which my landing rate's normally about 150, 200. But if I, a bit of wind or if I lose my concentration, they won't kick the PIRIP out. Now, I've been with other VAs, but if you're anything over 350, that's it, they'll decline it. If you have a problem, as long as you explain the problem, they're normally pretty good with you. So it's not all around rules, regulations, it's all around the flying, which is what we really, really like. And the other thing I really, really, really like on here is, and I'll bring it onto screen, is the ACAR system. So if I want to do a route and it's not on here, I can just type in the route, what I want to do, where I'm going from, where I'm going to, the aircraft I want to fly, punch it in and I can do it and I get awarded the time and the hours. So you don't have to stick to the airline route as well. Now, the other thing is I can fly any airline with any aircraft on any route. There are no restrictions. Now, I am a Microsoft Flight Simulator user. That means that I'm limited to an Airbus A320 pretty much for most of the time. I don't have a Boeing 737-800 right now. The Dreamliners aren't really flyable. The 747 isn't really flyable, so I'm limited with what I've got. But I also have got a really nice private jet, the CJ4 that's been modded. I can do any of the routes from any of the airlines using any of those aircraft as well, which works out. So in summary, my advice is pick a virtual airline that's going to work for you and work with you and understand your needs. You might like the strict regulations and the boys' clubs and you've got to be in it to win it and all of that. I personally don't. So just bear that in mind when you're choosing a virtual airline and give them a go. Give them a go, and if you don't like it, move on. I can thoroughly recommend UK Virtual. It's got everything if I was building a virtual airline, it's got everything that I would want. So thumbs up, and I'm glad I joined. And hopefully, we will see you flying on there soon if you choose to go that way. But look, thanks for checking in on the video. It's been really good. Leave some feedback, suggestions for future videos in the comments. And we will see you very soon. Take care now. Bye bye.